Script here with another video, guys, and I felt like I had to address the Gina Carano situation. When my channel was quite young, I put out a Gina Carano tribute after she was fired, and she liked it, and it did really well. I don't know her personally or anything like that. I just mean through social media. It's my most popular video, and there's a reason for it. It's because she's a really good person and a good actor, and I really liked her character in The Mandalorian, and obviously so did Jon Favreau, whose plan was to have the Rangers of the New Republic and her be the lead in that. And for me, this whole thing just reeks of like political disagreements. Like, she's a conservative and Kathleen Kennedy's very left. Hollywood is a very left-wing place. I mean, it's tough. If you come out as conservative, you're risking your career in a lot of ways for a lot of these people. And then on the flip side, if you want incredible wealth, well, then you and popularity, you push the far left agenda. It's kind of sad because film and music and all that stuff is meant to be art. It's not meant to be political. You think of even a guy like Ice Cube, for example, has recently come out and supported some more sort of right or I guess conservative perspectives, and he's blackballed. The guy's been around for like 30 years, and they're just like, no, we're done with you now. And that's what happens, and that's the reality of the situation. So Gina's initial tweet was probably not the best comparison, but at the same time, she's speaking from the fact that there are conservative parents, for example. I live in British Columbia, Canada, and there's a guy here who lost his son because his son was like 7 years old or whatever, and he didn't want his son to go through the puberty blockers and all that stuff as he got older and didn't want him transitioning, and the mother took him to court and took his kid away, and now he has absolutely no say in his own child. But here's the bottom line. Here's what it comes down to completely, and this is where people are so off the rails with this, and that is that a lot of people on social media and on Twitter felt like they needed to speak up on behalf of the Jews, right? So this tweet was apparently offensive to Jews because she's saying that it didn't start off in concentration camps. It started off by people hating their neighbors, and then eventually they got violent, and then eventually it just kept spiraling down, kept snowballing down the hill, and eventually, they had the gas chambers and everything else. So ill-advised, but the problem is there's way too many people who jump onto these causes, right? Like, so a lot of people who aren't black, for example, and who grew up in the suburbs and have spent their entire lives around only white people will be extreme, like champions of the cause of some issue related to black people, even though there's going to be a percentage of black people that don't agree with that don't agree with their stance. And I think that in and of itself is actually kind of bigoted, because you're basically assuming that your view about what that group of people should think is correct. And not only that it's correct to all of them. So you're essentially saying that they all think the same. And when the Gina Carano thing happened, all of these people came out on social media and essentially were offended on behalf of Jews. Like, they're thinking that all Jews think like them, and that all Jews think that what they think about Gina Carano's tweet is what they all think. Like, they don't have differences of opinion. They're all the same, which is kind of bigoted, right? Like, people have different perspectives. Not every black person believed that the way the George Floyd situation went down was the way it should have went down, like on the political end, right? Not every Jew agreed that what Gina Carano tweeted was horrible. But then there's all these people that just think that that's the case, that they all just think the same. So I would defer to, as a non-Jew, I defer to Jewish people, and you have people on all sides here. And I don't know if Kathleen Kennedy's Jewish. I know that there are a large percentage of Jewish people in Hollywood, and maybe some of them were offended. Maybe some of the executives were offended. Bob Iger is Jewish, of course, but that doesn't mean all Jews are offended. So this whole thing that we just like sort of lump everybody in a group and say that's it. And it's almost like that was the excuse to get rid of her because she's just conservative, and Kathleen Kennedy doesn't like conservatives. She just doesn't. This is how she is. And maybe they had fights. Who knows? Maybe some stuff went down behind the scenes. We don't know about that stuff. But I defer to Jewish people like, guys, after she got fired, she was literally hired to do movies by an Orthodox Jew. Ben Shapiro is Jewish. He's like extremely Jewish. He's a Jube. Like, he's like the Jew. Like, so if all Jews think the same and her tweet was so offensive, why did he hire her? And he even said that, it wasn't probably the best comparison, but she's talking about how the Holocaust was bad and the things that led to the Holocaust were bad. So there's nothing bigoted about it. Maybe it was a little bit off in terms of the extent to which she was maybe going. The illustration was maybe a little too far. He says that, but it's like, bro, there's nothing bigoted about it. So that brings me to the final conclusion, which is I don't think actually that was the real issue. I think the real issue was the trans issue. And in Hollywood, there's this thing where you're like, you have to be an advocate, right? So right now, that's the trend, right? Like non-binary actors, trans this, trans that. That's like the big thing right now. And it's not okay for you to just simply not say anything. You have to be an advocate. You have to literally use your social media to advocate for that cause, right? Advocate for kids on hormone blockers. You're not allowed to just not have an opinion. And it's not just the companies and just Hollywood doing that. It's social media itself, because people went after Gina because she didn't have pronouns in her bio. I don't have pronouns in my bio. If you want to put pronouns in your bio, you go right ahead. I don't care. Live your life. I'm busy living my life. I don't have time, right, to be involved in your business. But because she's a famous actress at the time, right, and they wanted her to advocate. They wanted her to put pronouns in her bio so they can say, oh, see, look, she's a ally or whatever of their cause. And she doesn't want to be part of their cause. Have your cause. I don't want to be part of your cause. And so then she didn't put pronouns in her bio. They just kept attacking her. And there's just a litany of really awful tweets, like really awful. Like, I want you to kill yourself. I want you, like guys, like over not putting pronouns in your bio. And so then she responded, after all that, and people went after her, she ill-advised, right? But she responded with beep, bop, boop as her pronouns, and that really ticked people off. And I think at that point with Star Wars 2, because think about it, right? Disney is like, every time they come out with a movie, it's like, oh, this is the first female, or this is the first non-binary, or this is the first gay, or this is the first... It's all about, like, they're all about that. Like, we're the ones that did this. Even though Disney, like, historically, like, is pretty bigoted. Like, let's be honest, they made propaganda for Nazis and stuff. Like, it's not like they're, like, some, like, nice, cushy, but they try to present that, right? But they overdo it with this stuff. They're all about, like, that thing. Like, we had the first, non-binary trans actress to play a character in whatever it is, right? Like, they love to do that. And so I think Gina putting that beep, bop, boop out because she was getting frustrated with all these crazy people going after her just simply for not putting pronouns in her bio, that was enough for them to say, okay, well, we can't fire her now. Like, we can't say, we're firing you because you didn't put pronouns in your bio. That's instant lawsuit from Gina. So they waited, and eventually they got what they wanted, whatever it was, a year or two later, and she put out that tweet. Then they said, oh, well, now we can fire her, but I don't think that tweet was the reason they fired her, right? So they fired her, and now she's suing them, and she's suing them because it's just been totally detrimental to her career. And again, I defer to, not all Jews think the same. So the Jews in Hollywood that didn't like the tweet, there were just as many other ones that didn't care or were indifferent or weren't thrilled with it, but it wasn't like it was that big of a deal. So now she's suing them, and one of the things in the lawsuit is reinstating her as a hired actor in Disney, assuming, presumably the Star Wars universe. Now, a lot of people are tweeting like, this guys, Jacob and all these guys on Twitter that are like, oh, what a loser. She wants to go back to the same company she hates. But that's not what that is. That's just part of a lawsuit. The reality of it is if she wins the lawsuit, let's say that aspect of it is victorious, that's just her getting reinstated. And then after that fact, she can say, well, now that the court has said that I should have been working here, I deserve the money that I lost over the last 4 years for not working there. That's what it's about. She's not going to come back. And I mean, unless Lucasfilm was completely overhauled, right? Kennedy gone, all these people gone. She's not coming back for Rangers of the New Republic. It's just not going to happen. But it's just a monetary thing. It's a way to recoup the money lost, right? And it's just in the language. So people, you don't know anything about the law. Don't tweet. Don't say things that you don't know anything about. So ultimately, she probably will win at least portions of this lawsuit, because you can't fire somebody for such a benign thing, something that isn't even really offensive. Saying the Holocaust is bad isn't offensive. it's really, you know, the analogy might have been bad and wrong, but you can't fire somebody for that. Like, you just can't. And so she's probably going to win the lawsuit. And I don't know why Disney's doing this. I don't know why they even did this in the beginning. I don't know why they're so unprofessional. I mean, if you're Kathleen Kennedy and you really hate this woman and you don't like her politics and her bias, then you use your brain. You be strategic. Find another way to get out of it. You don't just fire her for a fairly benign tweet. It's just really stupid business, right? And now they're going to get sued, and they're probably going to lose. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. I don't usually do videos like this. I know I don't. I usually just, it's fully focused on Star Wars, but I felt like I needed to because, again, my most popular video is about Gina, and I felt bad for her because she is a very nice person, actually, and people just constantly go after her. She can't even say something nice about Carl Weathers, who she worked directly with for a while. She can't even say something about his death without people say, oh, you're just using his death for your own pop. Like, people are nuts. So I felt like I need to talk about it. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. Is this whole thing just ridiculous? I think it's totally stupid. I think Disney's been totally unprofessional. What do you think? If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Feel free to check out any of my other content on my channel, including the Gina Carano tribute video I did, and have yourselves a really good day.